Looking for a more affordable entry into bush plane flying? How about paramotoring, aka the dirt bike of the sky? Paramotoring STOL is the next best thing, and this adventure motor that you wear on your back is your ticket to getting airborne quick. At Aviator Paramotor, our 2-week training takes you from zero to hero.
Sunrise this morning, it was beautiful. There was a thin layer of fog flying. It's just like all the stress and all that kind of just floats away. It's really peaceful.
From no experience to feeling confident and competent flying on your own. Let the team at Aviator Paramotor in Lake Wales, Florida teach you your new superpower of running into the sky. Classes are filling up quick, but there are spots available today, so call now. Side effects include, but not limited to, significant life changes, foot drags, ear-to-ear smiles. Find the extreme freedoms of ripping around the skies in your new adventure motor with friends.
It's time for National STOL. Hot off the heels of some absolutely show-stopping competition in Moses Lake, Washington, the series has crossed the country to the mountains of Clarion County Airport in Schipperville, Pennsylvania for the series' 5th stop. It's our inaugural competition here, and some of National STOL's most intense competitors have made the trip. Steve Henry returns to the series in Yeehaw 8. Brian Steck is bringing a new set of wings to compete against Keith Lang in his Super Cub in the adventure class, and they'll both have to contend with Warhorse, back in the sky after a brain-breaking performance in Moses Lake, this time piloted by Jared Garrettson. We're competing on Turf Runway 624 today, and those that have made the journey are hungry for more season points as the series hits its midpoint. It's time for some short takeoff and landings by some of the best. This is Appalachian Mountain STOL 2024. What's up, Av Geeks and STOL Freaks? Let's get ready for some STOL action here in Pennsylvania. My name's Ryan Dabrowski, and I'm so excited that you are here with me to do some great airplane things. We're just going to nerd out about airplanes today. Do me a favor. If you know someone else who would want to nerd out about airplanes, send the link to this to them right now. Say, hey, airplane nerd, would you like to airplane nerd with me? Let's airplane nerd together. Let's do it. It is an exciting day here at Clarion County Airport. We are getting ready to kick off our practice session for tomorrow's competition here at Appalachian Mountain STOL. Lots of fun things to bring you up to speed on. First and foremost, let's talk about where we are. We're at Clarion County Airport here. Wonderful, wonderful airport. They've been taking a great care of us. Runway 624, and actually, if you see out in front of us right now, you've got a lot of activity on the runway. We've been dealing with, as we've gotten ready to kick off practice today, we've been dealing with some crosswinds that are turning into tailwinds, and so we've switched the runway now twice, making sure that everything is super safe for the competitors as they get ready to go. So you can see now we've got folks switching the distance markers. We're moving the line and the cameras back to where they need to be so that we can have a good, safe competition today. The crosswind, not super intense, but not ideal, and you definitely don't want a tailwind in a STOL competition, just pushing you further and further down the line. Here at Clarion County Airport, we're in Clarion, Pennsylvania, elevation of 1,458 feet, but we are basically in the mountains. We're just on the edge of the mountains here in Pennsylvania, just a few hours drive away from Pittsburgh, and I cannot say enough about all the folks that have come out to help us bring Appalachian Mountain STOL to you at home and here in person. If you're in the Pennsylvania area, or even Cleveland's not that far, get in the car, get in the plane, drive down, come and say hi to us. We'd love to have you here in person as well as online. As we get ready to go, you're going to see a number of pilots flying for you today. We want you to voice your opinion, who the best of the competition this weekend is. You can do that at nationalstol.com/vote, nationalstol.com/vote. Go vote for your favorite competitor. Also, want to talk about what is this crazy thing? Maybe you're new to STOL flying. Maybe you're new to STOL competition. Maybe you're new to bush planes. Maybe you're new to aviation. Well, my friends, my job here is to help you navigate this. Hop in the chat if you have specific questions about STOL and STOL flying or the rules of the competition, and I will answer them, participate with you at home. But basically, what we're doing right now is simulating a backcountry landing in a competitive environment. My good friend Corey Robin, who announces on the mic with me sometimes, came up with this analogy, and I think it's great. Just imagine that you are in your Super Cub, you're flying into the backcountry to do maybe a little fly fishing on a sandbar. We are simulating that sandbar out on the runway there for you, and the sandbar begins at the line. You see it marked by cones and a line painted on the ground there. We'll see if we can get a shot of that for you in just a second. There's a line painted on the grass, and aircraft are going to come in, and they're going to land as close to that line as they can without landing before it, or new this season, without touching it, and they're going to get heavy on the brakes and land on that sandbar. The competition side of it is we put the aircraft's main wheels, so on a tail dragger, it's the front two, wheels on a nose dragger, or what we would think now, tail draggers are called conventional gear, but I think more conventional now is the tri-gear setup with the small wheel in the front. Those aircraft, the main wheels where we measure from, are in the back. So we're going to take those main wheels, front or back, depending on the aircraft type. We're going to put them on that painted line. Our line judge is going to help them get all lined up. Give them a go-ahead from the air boss. They're going to apply full throttle, go down the runway, and take off as short as possible. And where those main wheels leave the ground is where we measure from. They're going to make today right traffic around in the pattern, and they're going to come down and land again after that line as close as possible without touching it. Get heavy on the brakes. You're going to hear me say heavy on the brakes about 1,000 times today. And they're going to stop, and we're going to measure the distance from the line to where those main wheels stop. And then we're going to add those two distances together and get a combined score. The lowest combined score wins. Today during practice, we're going to do 4 runs in the various classes with the various aircraft, and we'll see where everyone stacks up. Also, if you are watching and you're an Av Geek, you may notice that we've got some weather coming in over the weekend. We are feeling pretty confident that we're going to be able to fly tomorrow here at Clarion County Airport, but in the event that weather conditions don't allow us to fly, today's practice session, the scores from today's practice session will actually become the competitive scores. So a little higher stakes in practice today than normal weekends. Normally, it's just there for today's a day where we get to chat about airplanes and have the pilots beat up the pattern. Today, they're actually going to be trying to get meaningful scores on the board in the event that competition tomorrow does not happen. So a little bit higher stakes, but all exciting, and we're going to be ready to go in just a minute. Let's do a weather check in just a second. We'll see what the weather conditions are today. You can see that windsock there. Getting a little bit of wind over it, but not extending at all compared to what we saw. Maybe you saw Moses Lake, Washington 2 weeks ago, and the insane winds we had there for National STOL. We had some incredibly short landings assisted by Mother Nature. Go back and look up Warhorse. Look up Jeff Daly and Warhorse at Moses Lake. Did some amazing things in that aircraft in 25 to 30 knot winds on the nose. Kind of perfect conditions for landing short. You can hear some of the aircraft firing up now in the competitor's paddock. You see that on your screen. It looks like Brian Steck's getting ready to roll into his new aircraft that he spent a couple years pulling together. We'll see that fly a little bit later today. Competition is organized in classes, and those classes are based off of various gross weights of airplanes and how they traditionally stack up scoring-wise, so that we try to make it competitive for you, the viewers at home. And so today you're going to see a number of classes. We've got the Backcountry class leading the charge. Those are the Huskies, the 170 Bravos. We've also got a Citabria flying this weekend. Touring class, you're going to see those are the heavies. That today we've got a Cessna 206 and a Murphy Super Rebel. Big airplanes. Going to be really fun to see them fly. Moving on into the sport class. These are your sport aircraft. Highlanders. Actually, looks like we've got 3 Highlanders and Super STOLs flying. So you got a lot of similar configurations there, but also a Carbon Cub. Prettiest Carbon Cub you'll ever see. We've got that flying a little bit later. And then we'll be moving on into the adventure class, the Super Cubs, the MOACs, the brand new on the scene Badlands Traveler. You're going to see that flying as well. And of course, we cannot forget Steve Henry in another Highlander, the Just Aircraft Wild West Aircraft Highlander XL. It's the new one. You'll know it when you see it. Race number 44. Piloted by the legend Steve Henry. And we've got a lot of legends of STOL flying here in Pennsylvania. Hot off the heels of maybe a newer crowd on the West Coast in Moses Lake. You've got folks like Jerry Clemens, Luke Strandland, Dave Curley, Dennis Rowe, Christian Grewan. You've got Keith Lang, Brian Stack, Jared Garrettson, and of course Steve Henry. This is a thick and experienced crowd here in Pennsylvania. They're going to be putting on a great show for you. So we're looking forward to that. If you already know who your favorite competitor is, be sure to go to nationalstol.com/vote. And if you want to participate in the discussion, go to nationalstol.com/chat. Lots of different ways you can participate. Facebook, YouTube. We'd love to hear from you there. By the way, some cool merch, National STOL merch, available this season, and we definitely want you to check that out too. You can also find that over at nationalstol.com. So again, we're talking about simulating that backcountry landing. One of the things that we talked about was the scratch. So imagine that you are coming in to land on this sandbar. You're an airplane coming in, and you land short. What happens? If you're landing on a sandbar, you land short, you get a little wet. So we've got the line there. We're going to have a line judge there, and she's going to be watching that line and letting us know if any part of that tire hits that line. And if it does, that run does not count. That's the scratch. And that is the great equalizer, especially in variable and different winds. That's the great equalizer, because even the greats, even the Keith Langs, the Steve Henrys, they scratch sometimes too, because they're going for it. They're putting it all on the line for you at home. So that is something to watch. That's going to be super fun. As we get ready to go, if you have questions about how airplanes work, definitely let me know. I will do my best to let you know and answer everything as much as I can. But basically, thrust, lift, weight, and drag. Just like that Disney movie or Pixar movie, whatever it was. That's what we're dealing with today, and we're adding a little bit of glory. Hearing some more aircraft powering up in the paddock, getting ready to go. Let's talk about some of the folks that help make National STOL possible. Let's talk about our friends over at Flying Eyes. Flying Eyes, of course, the optics and sunglasses company for aviators. Lightest and most comfortable aviation sunglasses around. As a returning sponsor, our staff and participants can attest to the quality of their products. Use coupon code NATIONALSTOL for 10% off the next time you're in the market for high-quality eyewear. And let's get ready to learn a little bit more about the adventure class as they taxi up and get ready to go.
My name is Brian Stack. I'm from Mineola, Texas. This is my 2020 Legend MOAC.
Box 1, go.
You know, at the time, I had no idea what I was building. Went and talked to Darren and Randy at Legend Aircraft, and, you know, I just built an airplane that we could go fly in.
And those MOACs make it challenging, don't they?
Oh man, them are some beautiful birds, and pilots are good. You know, it's competition.
He calls this airplane, not only does he call it Pepper, he also says it's part of the wolf pack. You can tell why he says that beautiful wolf on the front.
For STOL, it's hard to beat a Super Cub. It's called a Lycoming 0290. It's only 125 horsepower. Being as lightweight as it does, it seems to compete pretty good, especially in the STOL stuff compared to the bigger guys.
Now,
here
Brian
comes Brian.
Shirley. With a
scratch
for
scratch.
Brian Shirley.
Now I kind of had time to regroup myself, because it does kind of get in your mind a little bit that you got off your routine a little bit, and I was off my routine today altogether. Brand new airplane, just got it done. I've had it in the mountains at my home airport up there is at 8,000. I've had it at Leadville, which is 10,000. Where I'm actually from is Dodge City, Kansas, and I've had it there is 2,600. So yeah, I've had all over the country. It's performing well.
And that is the adventure class. You are going to see them fly a little bit later today. We're going to kick things off with the backcountry class. That's going to be Jerry Clemens in the Aviat Husky, Shane Burns in a Cessna 170 Bravo, and Jalen Park, newcomer to the series, in a Citabria 7 GCBC, all the way from Blacksville, West Virginia. Also in this heat is going to be the touring class, which we will discuss in just a second. And here's the touring class lineup. You got Samuel Lavery in the Cessna 206 Golf model, and Luke Strandlin in that giant 2009 Murphy Super Rebel. And on your screen now, folks, here in Appalachia. I want to say Appalachia, being from Wisconsin, but check it out right in front of you in the 2008 Aviat Husky A1C from Benton, Kansas. You're running 200 horsepower. Everybody give it up for Jerry Clemens. Up next, in the 1954 Cessna 170 Bravo model from Palmer, Texas, everybody give it up for Shane Burns. And behind Shane, taxing to the line now for you, in a 1979 Citabria 7 GCBC. You got to keep track of all those random letters with the Citabria types. From Blacksville, West Virginia, Jalen Parks. Love seeing that yellow Citabria. Plane that can do a little backcountry work, but can also do a little upside downy, little loop-de-loopies, things like that. Now in the touring class, also part of this Alpha Heat, in a 1979 Cessna 206 Golf model from Pensacola, Florida, Everybody give it up for Samuel Lavery. Look at that beast taxing up to the line. And now, no stranger to the touring class, in the 2009 Murphy Super Revel from Mora, Minnesota. Everybody give it up for Luke Strandland. There's Luke there in the Murphy Super Revel. Began flying in 2014. Owns a metal fabrication company in Minnesota. And you are in for a treat watching him fly. So that's our Alpha Heat. Again, combining the backcountry and the touring classes together. And you see there we've got Jerry Clemens on the line. You might recognize that name if you've bought aviation insurance at all. Clemens Aviation Insurance from Benton, Kansas. This Aviat Husky, 200 horsepower, 26-inch bushwheel tires. And maybe we'll see today a little surprise in that prop. We hint about it every time because it's always a surprise if you're new to National STOL. He's got a reverse pitch propeller MT reverse thrust prop on that bad boy. Getting ready to go, backing it up, just showing off a little bit for us there, Jerry Clemens. Getting her all lined up. We're going to see what Jerry can do. He's been at a lot of the competitions this year. We've got a green flag from race control. So Jerry taxing up to that line, waiting for the air bosses to give him the green flag. It looks like we're just waiting on that transient traffic right there. We've got a Cessna that just landed on the hard surface runway, taxiing in. So just holding here for that transient traffic. And then we'll be ready to go. Jerry Clemens getting ready. Line judge walking up. Having a little chat with Jerry about something there. Getting some radio work with some folks talking on the radio there. That's Eric Farewell, one of the series owners, with our new line judge. She's ready to go, learning how to do this. Very important, that job as a line judge. It's also backed up by some slow motion replays. Helps make sure that everything is good and fair. And he's giving it full throttle. We have a race, ladies and gentlemen. Tail up for Jerry Clemens. Flaps down, pulling back maybe just a little early. Getting used to that wind. Look at the crosswind we've got right now from the pilot's left. Almost a direct crosswind. They'd prefer that to be on the nose. We're seeing Shane Burns now trying to take a little bit more of it on the nose, cheating the aircraft to his right, our left, using just a little bit of that room to crab into it as much as we can. Full throttle for Shane Burns in the 170. Tails up nice. Flaps down, tail down, and well timed for Shane Burns from Palmer, Texas. Currently runs a small family farm there in Texas. And this aircraft, if you're an av geek like me, may be interested to know, it's got the Stutz conversion IO360 in that 170 Bravo. Jalen Park from Blacksville, West Virginia, on the line, ready to go. Full throttle for Jalen. See that rudder doing a lot of work on these tail dragger aircraft, getting it straight against that crosswind, and she's off nice and short for a first-time takeoff. She's owned that aircraft for almost a year. Says here she enjoys the challenge of flying that tail wheel, and she's conducting Young Eagle flights to give back and inspire others. Here we go now. The heavies have arrived on the scene. Samuel Lavery in the 1979 Cessna 206. Tail nice and down, getting it off the ground, and now he's got to get that nose down, get into ground effect, get some speed before climbing up into the sky, retracting those flaps. You can see flaps are that inboard control surface on the wing that helps with increased lift and increased drag on an aircraft. Luke Strandland in the Super Rebel, ready to go. Tail up. Giving it a yank back, and maybe just a little early. The plane wasn't quite ready to fly yet. Got a nice deck angle off that giant aircraft off into the sky. Let's take a look at our scores. Again, this is technically practice here at Appalachian STOL. Jerry Clemens coming in on short final. His takeoff was 202 feet, which is not bad considering the light and crosswind winds. That's redundant. The light and crosswindy winds. Here comes Jerry Clemens now. Good over the line, plopping it down. That reverse prop kicking in right away for the first landing of Appalachian STOL here in Pennsylvania. And you can see how that can help get the aircraft stopped, pushing all that thrust into braking action, getting that aircraft nice and slow. Combined score of 372 feet on run number 1 for Jerry Clemens. Here's Shane Burns coming in on short final. And a scratch for Shane Burns. A healthy scratch, landed well before the line. Getting it stopped still around that 210 range, give or take. You can see here, just doesn't have it lined up exactly right. That tail touches down first, which is fine, but there's the squat of the gear well before the line. So a scratch for Shane Burns. Jalen Park should be coming around the bend now. There she is, coming in a little bit lower. You can see that left wing coming down into the crosswind. A little more challenging to do a crosswind in a tail dragger aircraft, but all the pilots here have plenty of experience. And it looks like a scratch for Jalen as well. So right now in the backcountry class, Jerry Clemens, the only one on the board with a combined score of 372. Shane Burns, though, with the best takeoff of that run with a total distance of 144 feet. So still an opportunity for Shane to upset the apple cart for Jerry Clemens in the coming runs here in practice. Here's the heavy now. Sam Lavery with a scratch. You can see it kicking up some of that dust. A little more challenging conditions in STOL. It's harder to fly with less wind. You've got a higher ground speed, and you don't have anything pushing against you. So as we get things dialed in here, it's about trying to get that spot landing part of the competition sorted out. Luke Strandland higher in his approach now. Been flying since 2014. Getting that tail nice and low. Good over the line for Luke Strandlin. You see he's got that stick or yoke full back, trying to keep that tail down and provide a little bit of aerodynamic braking. Getting it finally stopped around the... Did he stop? Did he stop? He's got to stop. Not sure he stopped there. We'll see what the judges say on the scoring. Katrina in the chat saying that Citabria is lovely too. I agree. Love a Citabria. It's actually built very near where I grew up. Ray Smith in the chat wondering what's the distance a plane can take off in. And Ray, obviously depends on the size and weight of the aircraft. But later today, you're going to see an unlimited class airplane flown by Steve Henry that I've personally seen take off in 6 feet, which is a brain-breaking number. We might not see that today. We might not have the winds for that today, but it's possible. Here's Jerry Clemens now on the roll, tail up, and getting that timing down a lot better, ready to just leap into the air. Jerry Clemens in the Husky. So let's look at the takeoff number for that. His previous takeoff was 202 feet. This one much improved, 144. Shane Burns, tail up. Mowing the lawn a little bit. Pulled a little early. Flaps down, try to get all that lift he can. And a little bit of a reverse. Shane Burns at 144-foot takeoff last time. We'll see what the judges score it this time. Jalen Park in the Citabria. Jalen on the roll, tail up in the Citabria, pulling back, and it's in the air. Got to get that wing up just a little bit there, and she is good to go. As the touring class kicks off, Sam Lavery, first run was a scratch. Best takeoff so far for Sam, 340 feet. He's on the roll. Tail down. And it's in the sky. It touches down again in the sky. We measure from the second touchdown point. Wherever the last time the main wheels touched the ground, sank in there. Maybe pulled back just a little too hard. Got a little bit of sink. Settled back down to the runway there for Sam Lavery. Now, Luke Strandlin, I think he thought he had a scratch last time. Rolled out way further than he needed to. Combined score of 968. Getting the tail up for Luke. And just willing that beast into the air. Sam Lavery's takeoff longer that time, 400 feet. Let's see what Luke's takeoff number comes in at. His best takeoff so far, 268. 375, so a little bit longer for both. We might see a little less wind. And actually, as we look at the flags on the runway right now, it looks like some of them may be getting just a little bit tailwindy. So that could also be pushing them further down the runway. Here's Jerry Clemens in the Husky. Takeoff much improved, 144 feet. Best landing so far, 170 feet. Good over the line. Tried to get that reverse in twice. Didn't make it connect. Didn't connect it. The pilot workload is so high when you're trying to use a reversible pitch propeller the way that we use it in STOL. That's something that initially came to Huskies and Super Cubs and things like that in the float plane arena, helping you maneuver around on the water. And so there's a lot of workload happening with throttling back, hitting buttons, throttling forward, but now you're pushing forward even though you want to be braking. It's very complicated to do, and it doesn't always work. Here is Shane Burns. Good over the line, gave up probably 75 feet or more on the touchdown, but had a scratch earlier, so we got to make sure we get one on the books. Stopped in that 300 to 325 zone. Jerry Clemens, by the way, second run, best score so far, 310. I think Shane Burns, yep, there we go, 566 combined for Shane Burns. And Jalen Park now to your right. Again, with that lower STOL approach that we've seen her use these first two runs in that Citabria. Tickling the tops. Let's look. It's called good by the line judge, and now she's got to get it stopped. A lot of energy there that she's got to dissipate. You see that sticks full back, keeping the tail down, but just needs some heavier braking. Let's watch the replay. Here she comes in. Good over the line. Well, good. Couple inches off the line. Kind of perfect. I wonder if she thought she scratched again, because that was a long rollout for Jalen Park. One of the things we advise all of our pilots to do is always treat it like you got a good one over the line. Here is the 206. Sam Lavery down with a scratch again. That's 2 scratches in a row for Sam Lavery. He's got to be feeling it. Wants to get on the board. Luke Strandland coming in again, had that long rollout. And Jalen Park did have a good landing, but she rolled out, so it's marked as 700 for a combined score of 1,050. Would have been a good one if she'd gotten on those binders. Here we go, Luke Strandland. A little bit higher on the approach, getting that nose up. Good over the line, tail touching down just before it. Heavy on the brakes for Luke Strandland. Stopped short. That airplane is huge, folks. You can see it. Look how many. It's got so many windows. So many It's got like 1 million windows. I never noticed that before. More like the Murphy Super window. And look on the replay there, watching that tail wheel just smacking down. Say hi to a few folks in the chat. Sergio saying, Olaf. I'm thinking it says Olaf from Barcelona. Sergio, thank you very much for tuning in from Barcelona. We've got Bryant Hull in the chat. Mike Council remarking about the ash at Moses Lake. Here's Jerry Clemens on the roll, tail up, taking a little bite, pulling, and it's better. He's getting that timing down a little better. Best takeoff so far for Jerry Clemens, 144. Shane Burns now giving it the beans. Pulling off nice and short. You can see why the Cessna 170 Bravo model is a favorite. And just talking to race control, it sounds like Luke Strandland is headed to the pits with a mechanical issue. We'll give you more information on that once we have it. Here's Jalen Park in the Citabria, pulling back. Nice, clean takeoff for Jalen Park. So just to repeat, race 260, Luke Strandland, your current leader in the touring class with 632 feet combined, is out with a mechanical. We'll bring you more on that when we can. Here's Sam Lavery now. Nothing on the board. 2 scratches so far for Sam Lavery. Getting that 206 up into the sky. And you got to wonder, we don't have a lot of 205s, 206s in the competition, but one is very famous. Brandon Korn in Black Betty not attending this competition. Would love to see them go head-to-head. That was the best takeoff for Sam Lavery so far with a distance of 240, so 100-foot improvement for him before since his first takeoff. So it's good for Sam Lavery there. possible that he could beat Luke Strandland here in practice, who's got that combined score of 632. Here's Jerry Clemens in the Husky. Dropping it in over the line. And there's that reverse pitch. That beta thrust stopping around 250 feet, maybe 249. Pat McIntyre in the chat saying, hello, National STOL. Love watching these great pilots perform. Wish I was here or there. Wherever he wishes he was. Wishes he was there. Pat flying Iran's S7. Pat, I wish you were here as well, friend. We miss ya. Shane Burns off in the distance in the 170. And if you tuned in 2 weeks ago, you saw an epic battle of 170s. Here's Shane giving up lots and lots of distance over the line, getting it stopped pretty short once he touched down, though. So just a little more accuracy needed for Shane Burns on that touchdown. So in Moses Lake, we had the legend himself, John Jughead Council, facing off against his rival. I don't know if nemesis is, I think that might be too strong of a word. Tegan LaPointe, and she and Jughead duked it out. They even had a grudge match where they switched aircraft. It looked like Jughead tossed Tegan out of her aircraft. It was fun to watch them fly each other's airplanes. Jalen Park with a scratch for Jalen. See, the blue flag is up. So we've got one more run for everybody here in practice at Appalachian Mountain STOL. Jalen Park would have had a really competitive score had she stopped on her second run. And best takeoff so far was that third run, with a takeoff score of 261 feet. And here is, in the touring class, Sam Lavery, not on the board yet. Holding it off. Good over the line for Sam Lavery, getting on those brakes. Checkered flag is up. Let's get it stopped. Sam, get it stopped up. There we go. Stop for Sam Lavery. That was a really great takeoff for Sam, 240 feet combined, but I feel like what happens is as people scratch and scratch and scratch, they start bringing in more and more energy to ensure they get over the line, but then you've got to dissipate all that energy with your brakes, and that's a tall order in a big airplane like a Cessna 206. Here is Jerry Clemens just inching up to the line. Scott Sweet rooting for Jerry Clemens in the chat. Here he is, full throttle. Tail up for Jerry Clemens in the double D. Taking a nice bite, and he's off. Best combined score for Jerry Clemens so far, 310 feet. Next closest, 566 for Shane Burns. Feeling confident, Mr. Clemens. Shane Burns giving it full throttle, getting that tail up, easing it off. That right main hanging on just a little bit longer than the left. And let's watch the wind again. We've gone from tailwind, slight tailwind to headwind again here at Clarion County Airport. Jalen Park in the Citabria. Off she goes. Stick back and just tickling the treetops. And by treetops, I mean grass. You didn't tickle the treetops. It's grass. I don't know why I said that. It's the grass. Tickling the tops of the grass blades is what Jalen did. Here we go. Touring class. Sam Lavery. Again, Luke Strandland out with the mechanical. Sam, full throttle. Getting that tail down. Sam's got the takeoff part of this pretty dialed in. Pretty dialed in there for Sam Lavery on the takeoffs. His best scores so far, 240 feet. The landings is where he really needs to improve. We've got 2 scratches and a 525. And if he could tighten that up just a little bit more, he could beat Luke today in practice. Jerry Clemens setting up for landing. Getting it nice and stable. Again, crosswind from the left. Little burst of throttle to get him over the line. It's good. Heavy on the brakes. We're not going to see any reverse thrust this time. Stopping around that 290, give or take, place. That was not the best takeoff for Jerry Clemens or the best run. His best run still his second one with a combined score of 310. Shane Burns turning base to final. Getting lined up on our runway here at Clarion County Airport. We're in the turf right next to the hard surface. If you want to look it up on iFly EFB or one of your other flight apps, check out Kilo Alpha X-Ray Quebec. And a scratch for Shane Burns. A little too short, maybe 5 feet too short for Shane Burns there. Again, we're at Clarion County Airport here in Pennsylvania. Kilo Alpha X-Ray Quebec is the identifier. And we're operating on, depending which way the wind's blowing this weekend, 6 or 2-4. We've gone back and forth a little bit today to make sure it's safe. Jalen Park on approach. Holding it off, but blue flag is up. Another scratch for Jalen Park. So that's a little bit of heartbreak for Jalen because she did have that pretty good takeoff on run 2, but rolled out, putting her in third place. That maybe could have been enough to unseat Shane Burns. A little scratch heavy for Jalen. She'll be wanting to dial that in heading into tomorrow. And just off to the right on your screen there, to wrap up the touring class, Samuel Lavery in the mighty 206. I agree, Brian. Brian in the chat saying, fun to watch the big birds drop in and get stopped. And that one dropped in real nice with a puff of dust. Get it stopped, Sam. Best landing so far for Sam Lavery, 525. Let's see what this one does. Good over the line again in the replay. The score to beat Luke Strandland, 632. And we'll get that final score for Sam Lavery up in the scoreboard in a second. Here's how the backcountry class wrapped up. Jalen Park, combined score of 1,050 feet. Shane Burns in the 170, 566. And Jared Clemens in the Husky with a combined score of 310. Over to the touring class. Right now showing Sam Larry's best as a combined score of 765. And Luke Strandlin with 632 combined in the touring class. So that wraps up the first heat of National STOL practice here at Appalachian Mountain STOL in, well, we're in Appalachia? Appalachia. You say Appalachia, I say Appalachia, tomato, tomato. Let's get ready to go. Before we move on to a word from our sponsors, I just want to mention a couple folks that help make this possible. We, of course, need to talk about flighthelmets.com. I normally have a flighthelmet.com helmet to show you and put on my head and goof around with at this moment, but we don't because that aircraft helmet is being used by some of our rookies, some of our newcomers as they practice today. So one of the things that National STOL has done is said, hey, you need to have helmets on for safety this season, and flighthelmet.com is one of the sponsors helping us make that happen. We've got a great partnership with them, so can't show it to you because it's in use right now, but flighthelmet.com, check them out. Use code NSTOL50, NSTOL50 at flighthelmet.com. Get $50 off a flight helmet from them. And we will be back in just a minute for the sport and rookie classes here in Pennsylvania. But first, let's check out a word from our sponsors.
Basically, every time I do an install, I go in and I download all of the latest manuals to make sure that everything's interconnected correctly. We don't miss anything. We don't miss any on-off switches, any warning lights.
You said that the most common position for the CEO Guardian's over there on the right side?
Yeah, it would be generally somewhere in this area. And, you know, if you went into the panel, and obviously you can't go into the panel, and with this particular one I showed you the panel, he's basically got a 275, his ELT is going to be here. You've got USB charging port and programming port, which will be tied into these, is going to be here. Then you've got Bose, your two audio jacks here, and this particular prop de-ice one is going to end up in this here. You can build something off of this flange, which you could put the CO Guardian here. You could mount it to the top or the bottom of the glove box. Or if you're going to do a panel mount, you've got the mount holes, and I think there's 7-9 holes that you actually go through the panel, and basically I would cut those.
Grab 110.
Class Rick holding it.
Taking the big bounce.
Okay.
He's sliding.
Came down and I was braking and it just shattered across the weld.
My name's Justin Tisdale. I'm flying a Xena 750, flying in the Spark class. My dad and I would always go to events and things like that, and I would always look up and just see people flying. And for me, it was something that I dreamed of doing. It's something that he dreamed of doing. We grew up like kind of poorish, and he was a cop and couldn't really afford to do that kind of stuff. So after I got out of the military, I started looking at aviation. I was like, man, I think I could do that. Wound up completing that dream of his and mine to become a pilot. and anyone can do it. I know if I can do it, other people can do it.
Howdy, I'm Levi No Guess. I'm from Killeen, Texas. I'm here for the fun. If I win, that's great. If I don't, I'm still having a blast.
My name is Sheldon Hetherington. I'm flying Redbird, a Xena 750 STOL.
Here's Sheldon now in Redbird, overcome that axle issue that he had and now has it up and running.
New prop I'm trying. I just got it from eProps and it's totally amazing.
Hi, I'm Dennis Rowe. I fly Just Aircraft Highlander and I'm in the sport class. What do you say? You done it. You own it and you learn from it and you thank God. And in this case, it was not too serious.
You know, here's the embarrassing part. I always said, boy, you put a Highlander on its nose, you got to be an overachiever.
Yeah, I had to entertain everybody.
I started off at a young age, probably 3 years old, racing motocross.
You know, I come from a stunt background and I was a professional bull rider. It just, what's next? Let's do it.
And we are back here at Clarion County Airport here in Pennsylvania for Appalachian Mountain STOL. My name is Ryan Dabrowski. I hope you are having a great time watching this practice session for the weekend as we get ready for competition tomorrow. We had a very exciting backcountry and touring class just a little bit ago, and now we're about to kick it off with the sport and the rookie class. So let's take a look at our lineup here for the sport class. There can be only one is the best reference I can make for this with all the Highlanders. It's Dave Curley in a 2017 Just Highlander, Dennis Rowe in a 2020 Just Highlander, and Christian Griwan in a 2021 Just Super STOL. And then rounding out the sport class, Lee Boyd in a 2019 Cub Crafters. And then in our rookie class, we'll have another Cub Crafters piloted by Stan Shimkus. Sport class aircraft typically going to give you some shorter numbers than what we just saw. They're light, high horsepower things happening here. Up first in the front in the OD Green 2016 Just Aircraft Highlander from Spicewood, Texas. That's David Curley. Next, this one's powered by a stock Yamaha Apex motor. In the 2020 Just Highlander from Leechburg, Pennsylvania, Dennis Rowe. Love hearing the sound of that Apex. Next up in the 2021 Just Aircraft Super STOL from Linden, Tennessee, Christian Griwan. You can see the iconic gear arrangement of all of these Just aircraft. And now for something a little different, Ed Boyd from Appleton, Tennessee in this 2012 Cub Crafters Carbon Cub. Look at the paint job on that one. Whew, every time. And then in the rookie class, in the 2016 Cub Crafters Carbon Cub from Irwin, Pennsylvania, Stan Shimkus. I butchered that. Stan Shimkus, everybody. I owe him a beer for that. Stumbled through his name. First time coming out in the rookie class. The rookie class, of course, where newcomers can come and participate under the guidance of some of the more experienced STOL competitors. Once you win the rookie class, you can't compete in that class anymore. Stan, the only one participating in that class this weekend. See the line judges scampering out to their position as Dave Curley taxis up to the line. Right up to the line for David Curley. And you're going to see a big difference in these sport aircraft. And we're off already. You see the judges all pointing at the tape measure on the field. There seems to be consensus on that one. David Curley off short and dropping the gauntlet for the sport class. Dennis Rowe, though, coming in with a boatload of horsepower. Look at that thing just hanging off there. Those Yamaha engines really kicking out a lot of thrust. Brakes released. Wagging that rudder back and forth, and he's off as well. Sub 175. Christian Griwan in the 2021 Just Super STOL. Look at those long gear legs. These aircraft really made for the backcountry. Just sitting there. A ton of angle of attack. He's got that tail up, taking a bite. Boom, off into the sky. Just over 175. Maybe we call it like 185, 190. We'll see. Best takeoff so far, Dave Curley with 126. Here comes Edward Boyd. In that Cub Crafters Carbon Cub, here he comes. Tail up, tail down, he's up. He's going to give those Highlanders a run for their money. And it's time for the newcomer. In the rookie class, Stan Shimkus, one of your hometown pilots from Irwin, Pennsylvania. Full throttle for Stan, and he's off in that light Carbon Cub. Dave Curley already around in the pattern. I want to take a moment to say thanks to one of our sponsors, Ladd Gardner Aviation Insurance. They've been with us since the start. Ladd Gardner, Aviation Protected. Here is Dave Curley, and just before the line with a scratch for Dave Curley. You could see the bottom dropped out for him there a little bit. It fell down out from under, lost that lift. That's A-okay. He's got 3 more runs to go. He's definitely one to watch. Dennis Rowe now in that Apex-powered beast, coming down low. Burst of throttle getting over the line, but gave up about 100 feet on the touchdown, but still stopping pretty short, somewhere around 245 feet. Christian Griwan turning base to final. And as he comes in, I just want to give a shout out to the sponsors who are offering prize considerations to our pilots. We have a lot of sponsors that provide prizes pilots are all competing for right now. Lift Aviation, you've seen their helmet. I think Jalen Park was wearing one of their helmets. Aero LEDs, Sarasota Avionics. Here is Christian now. Good over the line. You heard him give it burst of throttle to keep it up. And stopped. Could have gotten a little harder on the brakes, I think, for Christian. But again, you want to get a safe one in the books. Let's watch on the replay. Woo. Cutting it close, but Pretty nice and accurate for Christian Griwan. Ed Boyd now in the 2019 Cub Crafters Carbon Cub. Holding it off. Good. Getting it stopped. Nice and short. Now look at that landing, that competitive landing. The best landing of the run for the sport class there, Ed Boyd. We may see a little bit of a battle between Ed Boyd and Dave Curley here. Current standings have Ed Boyd in the front with a combined score of 280. Here's Stan now, holding it off. And a little short. That is a scratch for Stan Shimkus. 3 more runs to get on the board here in practice for him. Right now in the sport class, Lee Boyd, 280. Christian Griwan in second place with 376. And just behind him, Dennis Rowe with 416. But we haven't seen what David Curley can do yet. He had the second best takeoff of that run with a score of 126 feet, but scratched it. So if he gets on the board, we'll get a true picture of what we are doing here in the sport class and where the competition lies here in Pennsylvania. Also want to give a shout out to iFly EFB. Here's David Curley on the roll. See if he can beat that previous score. 126 was the best for him. Looking like a direct crosswind for competitors right now. Dennis Rowe on the line, race number 57. Best takeoff 170 feet. Nice and short for Dennis Rowe as Christian Griwan pulls up to the line. His best takeoff, 187. Throttle's coming up, brakes released. He's on the roll, getting that tail up and yanking it back. Timed that one pretty perfectly for Christian. Ed Boyd coming to the line now. All the way from Appleton, Tennessee.
Like a tail issue with the shark plane.
Actually, Ed Boyd not on the line. Ed Boyd's out of his aircraft talking to one of the judges. So we've got Stan Shimkus, the rookie, on the line. Sounds like Ed Boyd is troubleshooting an issue. Here's Stan Shimkus on the roll in that Carbon Cub. And a nice, smooth takeoff for Stan Shimkus. Sold an aircraft at 16 years old. He's been flying for 30 years as a tailwheel instructor. So I think we're going to see some nice dialed-in stuff there for him. We'll see what happens with Ed Boyd here as he gets his issue sorted out. And let's talk about our friends iFly EFB. They're offering 3 prize packs, which are 1-year subscriptions here at each event. That's a complete EFB app for Android, iOS, and Windows. Has all the advanced features that pilots want and the most intuitive flight planning and navigation solution on the market. Also want to talk about another company that's giving prize consideration to our competitors, and that's Legendary Aviation Coffee Company. Use code STOL10. STOL10 for 10% off your order. Legendary Aviation Coffee Company. Dave Curley now good over the line, dropping it in. Just plopping her down there and getting it stopped. Looks like somewhere around 150 to 175 for Dave Curley. His first run was a DQ. Second run combined score of 304, putting him in second place. Here's Dennis Rowe. And he is short just before the line for Dennis Rowe there. He will stay currently in fourth place with that scratch. Christian Griwan now on approach. Very high. Bringing it down now for Christian. Holding it off. And he's just got to get it stopped now. A lot of energy for him to dissipate here. Stopped around the 345 point, maybe 348. Best run so far for Christian has him in third place with 376. This one is not going to best that. Here comes Stan Shimkus. Ed Boyd still out with a mechanical. Holding an off stand. Going to be good over the line. Yep, it's good. And now he's got to get it stopped. See that sticks full back there right in his lap. Keeping that tail firmly on the ground. That helps him maintain directional control. And that elevator in the up position also provides a little bit of aerodynamic braking, but in the tail draggers, the biggest thing you need there is keeping that tail down while you apply the brakes. David Curley coming up to the line in second place currently with a combined score of 304. This aircraft powered by a Rotax 912. Love watching it leap into the air and watching those main gear just extend down as they travel. Dennis Rowe, now watch this. Same basic airplane, but that Yamaha Apex engine putting off a lot of different power compared to the Rotax, which is more standard that we just saw. Wagging that rudder, and he is off around the 225 mark. Here's Christian Griwan up against the line. This one powered by a Rotax 915, 140 horsepower motor. And he is on the roll. Getting it off nice and short. So you've got three different Highlanders with three different engines and three different horsepowers. But it's interesting because I wouldn't necessarily assume that they'd be in the places they are based on the horsepower. And then last but certainly not least, again, Ed Boyd. Looks like he's taxiing onto the hard surface runway there, which means we've got rookie class Stan Shimkus ready for run number 3. And he is flying it like a instructor would, real nice and clean. And speaking of nice and clean, which is the weirdest way I could introduce someone, I'm joined by a good friend. Cam Walton's in the booth now.
Hey.
And great to see you.
Great to see you.
And you were just over announcing STOL in Vegas last weekend.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And now you made the trip over to Pennsylvania to join me on the mic. We see here, Cam, something's going on with Ed Boyd.
Yeah.
Just hanging out there. Working through some sort of issue there on the hard surface runway. Meanwhile, well separated, we've got Dave Curley coming in.
That Highlander looks so good.
Dropping nice and short, somewhere around 225. So that's
All
the
right.
912 powered one, and now we're going to see the Apex one that Dennis Rowe is flying up next. I was saying that this is the I said there can be only one. And I don't know if anyone understands. We've got a lot of Highlanders flying right now.
A lot of Highlanders. And that's a scratch for Dennis Rowe.
Certainly wins on the sound department. That thing really likes to roar.
It does like to roar. Apex monster.
Yeah. We're going to see more Yamahas today. Later.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes. I'm excited. Are you excited?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got one that we've been waiting for all season to show up.
Yes.
A certain yellow airplane is here. Here's Christian Griwan in the... So this one, it's interesting to me. This one's 914 powered. Yeah, the Rotax... Or 915. 915 with
okay.
140 horsepower. Oh.
Oh. You know, this aircraft is for sale, by the way.
I didn't know that.
It is for sale. So if you like what you see, you can reach out to Christian.
Actually, that makes sense now because I was talking to Christian's wife last night, and she said he's been going over it and really working through a bunch of stuff. The previous owner, gave it to Christian to sell, and so he's like, well, the first thing we got to do is go over it with a fine-tooth comb, get it ready.
Yep.
There's our rookie coming in, Stan Shimkus. Best run so far, 562. Not stopping. Did he stop? And Ed Boyd taxing off, it looks like, to the pits. We'll see if race control can give us any updates on what's going on with Ed Boyd's aircraft.
Well, it's good to see it under power, so hopefully it's not anything too catastrophic.
I mean, it looks fine.
It does look
It
fine.
looks
Sounds
fine to me.
It's
What's-
idling fine.
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
going on with that thing? It's interesting though. I mean, people, if you're new to aviation, you don't mess around. If there's something that doesn't feel right at all, you reject it and work on it and make sure it's perfect. Here's Dave Curley. Final lap for the sport class. Dave Curley's best score so far, 3:04, holding him in second place. Ed Boyd, actually, I don't know if it's surprising or not, in the 2019 Cub Crafters, holding his own against these Highlanders. Whew, okay.
Nice.
All right.
All right, he came to
Dennis
play.
is ready to go. So his best takeoff so far, 168. I think we just saw something better than that. Actually, we saw two back-to-back. Dave Curley with 101. They're fighting. We got to fight.
Yeah. There can be only one.
There can be only one. Thank you for coming on that journey with me. Here's Christian Griwan. He's coming off short, not quite as short. So interesting, Dave Curley dropping the gauntlet on that last takeoff. 101 feet combined. Dennis Rowe with 134. Christian Griwan's going to be up near the 200s, I think. And Ed Boyd still out with a mechanical, and we've got our rookie, Mr. Shimkus from Irwin, Pennsylvania. Best score so far, 562 on his fourth run. Stick forward, get that tail up, easing it in, and he's off
he
again.
Chose 3-point takeoff.
Definitely the most graceful of the pilots right now.
Yeah.
Feels very refined.
I like refined. Refined is good.
So they're going around the pattern right now, and I'm wondering if as we've got Dave Curley coming base to final here, if you want to give people a little brief on what you did at STOL, what that was all about.
Yeah, STOL was amazing. I mean, it was held at Death Valley. So we were actually on the floor for the FS Expo, the Flight Sim Expo, in Las Vegas at the Rio. But the contest was held at Death Valley, and we had a few pilots show up, and a lot of people come to qualify live at the event. Not only live, but across the world. We had people from Britain and from New Zealand and all over the world, and it was a really good time. It was fun to see some of the people who are pretty famous in the STOL world live in front of us, because they weren't at home with their own rigs. So they were out of their comfort zone. And so we had a couple of winners live. We got one that had tuned in that had won as well. But it was just interesting to see them working on their skills while they're in unfamiliar territory with, controls that aren't their own at home.
Real quick, I want to catch some people up. We just had a bit of an upset. David Curley hopping into first place with that short landing there and short takeoff. His takeoff was 101, 170 foot on the landing for a combined score of 271, bopping him up into first place on the fourth run. Dennis Hurrow hanging on to third with a combined score of 333, and that might have been, it was a scratch for Christian Griwan, now in fourth place in the Super STOL. So it's up to Ed Boyd now. Nope, Ed Boyd's out. Ed Boyd's still holding second place, out with that mechanical. So we just had a little bit of an upset in sport class here. Dave Curley popping up into first place. And then let's watch our rookie, Stan Shimkus. That's a hard name to say. Stan Shimkus. Stan Shimkus. Nope, say that 3 times fast.
Nope.
Stan, met him this morning. Great dude. Here he comes over the line. Good over the line. We saw the tail wheel touch down before the line, and that is okay.
Yes.
In National STOL rules. It's just those main wheels that we are looking for. So David Curley holding his own by just 9 feet against Ed Boyd there in the sport class. And Cam, let's take a look at where the standings are. We pan around. Look at all those transient aircraft coming in.
Here we go. We have David Curley coming in first place with a combined total of 271. We've got Lee Boyd with a combined total of 280. Dennis Rowe in third place with 333. And Christian with a score of 376.
And then in the rookie class, Stan Shimkus with a combined score of 462. Great seeing him. You know, Cam, I got to wonder what would have happened if Ed Boyd has gotten more than one run in. Like, that was just his one and only run at practice today, 280.
280.
So, like, that put him in first place immediately. Usually pilots improve.
Absolutely.
So would we have seen him hold his own in first place? Again, one thing we teed up for people, but to reiterate, folks, there is a chance that we will have some severe, or maybe not severe, but some weather non-conducive to STOL flying tomorrow. And so one of the things, again, we're doing is normally practice is a little bit more of a free-for-all. We're keeping it structured today because if we're unable to fly today, these scores from practice are what will hold for the season competition, and the competition here at Appalachian Mountain STOL. Say that 7 times fast. So something a little like the dial's turned up just a little bit more for practice instead of just like trying to dial it in. And yeah, getting ready to go. So we will be right back. Cam and I will be right back with more STOL action after this. But first, a word from our sponsors. What's up, Av Geeks and STOL Freaks? Welcome to Lone Star STOL here in beautiful Sulphur Springs, Texas. It's Luke's for everybody, 2019 American Legend Aircraft MOAC. A round of applause for Chuck Olmstead. In the gray and orange MOAC, Brian Shirley, everybody. Give a round of applause for Brian Steck.
It's good. Textbook.
Sub 60 feet on that one. It's an unlimited class. It's what you've been waiting for. That's right, the Beast Mode MOAC, Colin Kaniva.
Oh my goodness gracious. Frank Knapp showing that he deserves to belong here. Whoa, that was legendary.
Well, a friend of mine, actually it was Corey Robin, told me about these flying eyes glasses. While we were at Oshkosh, we went and checked them out, and they're awesome. But what I really like is the glasses themselves. They're very light. The earpieces are real thin and flexible, so you don't even know you have them on under a headset. If I put my headset on, I mean, they're just as comfortable as could be, and they're so thin, I can actually take them on and off without removing my headset. I couldn't do that with my other glasses. And then the other really cool thing about these, they make some awesome sunglasses, but they have these cool sunglass lenses that just snap on. So now instead of having to carry a big extra glass case in my pocket, that's all I got to carry to take my sunglasses with me. So there's several things about them that I'm really, really liking. Flying eyes, awesome glasses.
He pushes me and I push him, and same with Hal. We're challenging each other. Everyone's like, whoa, this is gonna be close.
I have beat him, but not often. I got to be really on my game, and he's got to be off his a little bit.
The hard work happens with the majority of what Steve does before we get here. It's the innovations, the development of the new parts, testing them, all that, and a lot of that has to do with what Steve does before we get here.
Really excited. I just hung my weights and got everything ready for traditional STOL, and I'm just excited to get going.
I usually fly a Highlander, but I sold it. I'm rebuilding a new one that's going to be pretty competitive at both National STOL and STOL Drag, so I'm excited about that, but it ain't ready yet.
I fly my Rans off a grass strip in airport about 15 minutes from my house. Rick and Colin Kadiva, both really good friends of mine. Colin has a place with a strip behind his house. I've flown in and out of there.
Patrick and I, we got a little bit of a grudge match going.
Come on, get it stopped, Charles. Get it stopped, Charles. No!
You know, had to let it all hang out.
Oh, man,
One way or another, we're going to stop it, even if it's sideways.
It was so fun. I got to fly the unlimited. You can't beat it.
My name is Brian Stack. I'm from Mineola, Texas. This is my 2020 Legend MOAC.
Box 1, go.
You know, at the time, I had no idea what I was building. Went and talked to Darren and Randy at Legend Aircraft, and, you know, I just built an airplane that we could go fly in.
And those MOACs make it challenging, don't they?
Oh man, them are some beautiful birds, and pilots are good. You know, it's competition.
He calls this airplane, not only does he call it Pepper, he also says it's part of the wolf pack. You can tell why he says that beautiful wolf on the front.
For STOL, it's hard to beat a Super Cub. It's called a Lycoming 0290. It's only 125 horsepower. Being as lightweight as it does, it seems to compete pretty good, especially in the STOL stuff compared to the bigger guys.
Now,
here
Brian
comes Brian.
Shirley with a
with a
scratch for
scratch.
Brian Shirley.
Now I kind of had time to regroup myself, because it does kind of get in your mind a little bit that you got off your routine a little bit, and I was off my routine today altogether. Brand new airplane, just got it done. I've had it in the mountains at my home airport up there is at 8,000. I've had it at Leadville, which is 10,000. Where I'm actually from is Dodge City, Kansas, and I've had it there is 2,600. So yeah, I've had all over the country. It's performing well.
And we are back here at Clarion County Airport here in Pennsylvania for Appalachian Mountain STOL. My name is Ryan Dabrowski, joined by the fabulous Cam Walton.
Hey, hey.
We are getting ready to kick off the adventure class. Here's the lineup. Keith Lang in that Piper Super Cub coming up against, it's basically the old versus the new, Brian Steck in a 2024 brand new American Legend MOAC. But it's even more custom than a MOAC. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then behind him, in an airplane that you've seen previously 2 weeks ago, flown by Jeff Daly. They call it Warhorse. It's a 2023 Badlands Traveler, Jared Garrettson. That's the adventure class. Behind them, the legend himself from Nampa, Idaho, Steve Henry in that Wild West aircraft. Let's meet him first and foremost, right in front of us in the booth. In that 1956 Piper Super Cub from Wasilla, Alaska. Everybody give it up for Keith Lang. Next up behind him, I think in the loudest airplane here
by far
this weekend. In a 2024 hot-off-the-line American Legend aircraft MOAC, the mother of all Cubs from Mineola, Texas, it's Brian Steck. And we're on board with Brian right now. You see him keeping his head on a swivel as you taxi that tailwheel aircraft. Behind him in what used to be called the Cessna Cub. It's something totally new now in a 2023 Badlands Traveler. This one is Warhorse, owned by Jeff Daly from Manhattan, Kansas. It's currently piloted by Jared Garrettson. That Badlands Traveler, one to watch. Saw it do insane things.
Absolutely ridiculous things.
Bonkers things. We had a healthy wind on the nose in Moses Lake, but Jeff Daly brought that thing in a combined score. I think it was somewhere around 30 feet, 31 or 32 feet. And look who it is in Yeehaw 8, race 44 from Napa, Idaho, everybody. Check him out. It's Steve Henry. I don't know if that airplane has enough radiators, intercoolers. It's got a lot of things going on.
Would you say that aircraft is ultra cool?
It is ultra cool. Well done. So that is your adventure and unlimited class. And look who's back. Edward Lee Boyd figured out what was ailing him. And so he's going to round out the remaining 3 runs now that the aircraft issues and safety things are sorted. You know, I think a lot of people forget Steve Henry, you know, he's in that yellow race 44. I've even forgotten, historical in the YouTube world, that dead stick takeoff video back in the day, that was him, and that was like one of the things that blew my mind in terms of backcountry flying back in the day. It's like, oh, you could just roll down a hill and take off when you've got mountains by you. Here's Keith Lang now, taxiing up to the line. Cam, I heard that he may be joining the unlimited class just to give Steve something to run against tomorrow. That's a thing that may happen.
That sounds good to me. I mean, I want to see Steve with some healthy competition. Absolutely. Not that anybody else isn't healthy competition.
There's Keith. All right. So we are in the 100-foot range now in a 1956 Piper Super Cub. Also want to say hi in the chat. We saw Kathy Joe there in the chat saying hi.
What up, Kathy Joe?
Here is Brian Stack taxiing up to the line. Plug your ears for this one. She's a loud one. They're pointing sub 75 feet for Brian Stack. Okay. So, I mean, this is literally the first time this aircraft's competed in National STOL. It did STOL drags 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, in Columbus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now here's Jared Garrettson in the Badlands Traveler. Jeff Daly's Warhorse. This plane took off, I think, in 15 feet last weekend, maybe 16 feet. Also, Jared's wife is actually our line judge today. She's out there. Have to keep an eye on her, make sure she's calling it appropriately.
A few extra inches here and there.
Right. There's Jared now, getting ready to go. Full throttle for Jared. Tail up immediately. Down. Okay.
All right.
All right. We have a race. That's sub 75 feet for Jared as well in Warhorse.
What are you guessing? 65?
Well, it says here Brian Stack was 64, but
okay.
That's 57 feet for Jared Garrettson. Now, another loud one, folks. Steve Henry. Oh, my gosh. Steve Henry doing his thing. These airplanes, man, we are getting to like the leading edge of innovation, right? The Badlands Traveler, new wing shape, new wing design. And we've got Lee Boyd coming up to the line right now. It feels like a good time to remind everyone to vote for their favorite pilot. NationalSTOL.com/vote. NationalSTOL.com/vote. I didn't actually know who I'd pick. One of the last 4 airplanes. Here's Lee Boyd now getting his second run of the day in. You got to wonder if it's going to make him do a little better to be competing in the same heat as some of these ultra-performance aircraft.
Some extra motivation.
Right, that he's not normally fighting against. Let's look at those numbers. Steve Henry with 44 feet in almost no wind.
And number 44.
Oh, yeah.
44.
Maybe he did that on purpose. And look what we saw. Keith Lang in 102, which is bonkers in a 1956 Super Cub. And we're going to see that number drop for him for sure.
Absolutely.
Brian Steck in that Momac. He was talking about all the custom things he did to that wing with me today. He custom machined parts to make the flaps. Just the various things he's done to add to the chord length of the wing and the leading edge shape. So, and Brian Steck's actually in front right now because Keith had his door pop open. That's like a classic Piper Super Cub thing. You gotta like fix it while you're flying. So here's Brian Steck, first landing in this new aircraft in National STOL. Good over the line. What's he gonna do? Getting it stopped.
Oh yeah.
Getting a little sideways. Little sideways there for Brian Steck on that left brake. Kind of pirouetting there. In that case, we measure from the furthest wheel from the line. But
Absolutely.
that was a bonkers short landing. 64 feet and 121 feet for a total of 185 feet combined. Now, in case you're wondering, if a pilot is doing, like, does that little, wasn't a ground loop, but that little, like,
spin out
pirouette thing.
Maybe.
More than once, they get a little warning from race control. That's not a approved technique. It can happen, right? Your brakes lock up or brake fade or things like that. Here's Keith Lang now, good and stopped short. Did you notice how short that was for Keith Lang? Left crosswind, of course, playing into that too. He's got a heavy crosswind from the left, kind of gusting there, and that could have also been what caused Brian Steck to do that. Combined score of 253 for Keith Lang. Jared Gerritsen now flaps down
on short final. You can see he's crabbing into the wind. And landing's great.
Ooh, Jared, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This new Badlands Traveler design is shaking things up. Here's Steve Henry now coming in, and look at the flags, right? We've got a direct crosswind right now, and it is gusting. It's given some trouble. Steve's even working for it. Listen to that throttle.
Love seeing that dirt come up.
Yeah, and he's got
the knobby tires today.
Right, something different. He does the knobby tires for, is it for just better grip?
It's got to be for better grip. I mean, it looks like it aids with stopping power.
Ed Lee Boyd now coming in to round out his sport class landings. And while he does that, so yeah, a little bit longer on that takeoff. Here he is now. Right on the line. What do they call it? They're calling it good.
All right.
Let's watch the replay here. Oh, yeah. I think it was fine. Well, let's see. What do they think about that frame versus the other frame?
Did I see a little dust
No,
come
they
up?
called it a scratch.
Oh.
I don't agree. That's not, I mean, I don't get a say in this, but that's not, I don't know if I would have called that a scratch. Okay, let's talk about this. As people are taxing around, I have a question for you, sir. We've got a couple more National STOL events coming up.
All right.
Are you going to be at Sodbusters in Hartford, Wisconsin? Just
I
before
will be at your home show. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's my home show. I live not too far from there. Here's Keith Lang taking a bite out of that crosswind, trying to get off even shorter. He really flies the pants off of that Super Cub. That's the quintessential backcountry aircraft, vintage as it were. Brian Steck on the line. It's so loud.
So loud.
This is a loud plane. Okay, are you going to be at Rocky Mountain STOL in Pinedale in August?
Unfortunately, I will not be there.
All right, since Cam's not going to be there, you guys got to come keep me company. Rocky Mountain STOL, mid-August in Pinedale, Wyoming. Here's Jared Garrettson. What?
Oh, wow. What was that? Are we saying 50? Are we saying 50?
I don't really see 50. You think it was 50? What? 50 feet.
Okay.
Good call, Cam. Okay, now let's put that in perspective because the plane that's flying right now just did 44.
Oh,
I don't know. 26?
saying 27.
Oh, Steve Henry, what are you doing? What? I said last time at Moses Lake, Warhorse was flying, Jeff Daly at the controls, and I said, what is physics anymore? And I'm having the same feeling right now. I'm hitting the desk that my computer's on so vigorously because I am so confused about how this works.
28. Wow. Okay.
There's Lee Boyd from the sport class. You gotta just watching me. He's like, what is happening in front of me? I'm gonna get some scores in. He's still trying to get his first place back from David Curley with a DQ on that last one. We got Keith Lang coming around base to final. So, folks, long story short, go to Sodbusters in Hartford, Wisconsin. Come say hello. Rocky Mountain STOL in Pinedale, mid-August. We'd love to have you there. It's really cool to see the expanded footprint of this series. We're all over the country, and I'm knocking off a lot of first visits to states. I'd never been to Washington before. I've been to Pennsylvania before, but a long time ago. So we're hitting up a lot of cool places and just giving more opportunities for all of you to come see STOL firsthand.
And when you're done at Hartford, go right down the road to Oshkosh for a whole week of airplanes and nothing but airplanes.
Keith Lang just plopping it in the Super Cub. Around 150-foot landing, I think. A little bit longer, 153 feet. Combined score of 292 for Keith Lang. Here's Brian Stack. Now, that last landing was a little sporty. I need a better takeoff. 76 foot this time, so a little bit longer on his second landing. What are you thinking? What are we gonna see?
I'm gonna say 115.
You just calling it. It's gonna be a little bit shorter.
It's gonna be a little bit shorter, but I don't think he's gonna show out just yet.
Ooh, you were wrong.
I was wrong.
With the scratch for Brian Stack, not looking super pleased about it in the cockpit.
But at least he stopped, right? So he can still contribute to the consistency score.
Right, yeah. As long as you stop, that helps you with your most consistent competitive score. Here comes Jared in the Badlands Traveler. This plane is rigged up to be super light. The seat, it's experimental, right? They can kind of do whatever they want. The seat is literally just aircraft covering fabric over some tube. Holding it off. Oh, and a scratch for Jared Garrettson as well in the Badlands Traveler. So we're scratching it up now. Keith Lang, the only one on the board that time through. Not totally surprising. The dude is like, I don't know. Keith Lang's like,
I mean, he lives in Alaska, so
yeah, he's like working with these planes. Not that Jared and Jeff aren't in Warhorse either. Here's Steve Henry now. Oh, even the champion scratches now and again with a scratch for Steve Henry. And look at the flags. Kind of almost.
Oh yeah, kind of dying down. Those grippy tires are really cool. Rumor has it he does not like how small they are. He wished they were bigger.
Lee Boyd hanging it off, and a scratch for Lee Boyd. I gotta wonder if we saw a major decrease in the wind. You and I were just remarking that the flags were barely moving, and if you're tuned in to having a little bit of crosswind, a little bit of headwind, having that reduction in wind over the nose of your aircraft is going to make you time that landing a little bit off.
Yeah.
Okay, getting ready for the third run. Keith Lang. Ready to go. Look at this. This is a cool competition here. We got Jared Garrettson, first place from his first run still, 166. Keith Lang could upset this, though. I've seen him do magic in this plane. There we go.
Looks like they're calling it a little bit over 100 feet. Whoa. No, actually. 90 maybe. I'm going to guess 90.
Drum roll, please. Cam says 90.
92.
Nice one. Here's Brian Steck. Plug your ears.
All right.
It just hurts so good. A plane so that plane is bonkers. The engine in it is non-standard, and it's putting out over 200 horsepower, and then he's got nitrous in it as well. Give it a little extra oomph. There's Jared doing silly things in the Badlands Traveler. Brian Steck off with his best. Actually, everyone off with their best so far in this run. Keith with 92. Brian Steck with 60 feet on the takeoff. Jared Garrettson, wait for the number to come in as Steve Henry's on the line.
Oh, wow.
So that was 51 feet for Jared Garrettson, and what did we get?
Oh, is that 25? Maybe
for
26.
Steve Henry.
24.
24 feet.
Wow.
And like no wind. It's like 20. Like that is.
You
It's
can put that
bonkers.
wind debate to rest.
Here's Lee Boyd in the Carbon Cup. Also, look at that. Look at that for Lee Boyd.
Sub 75. Wow.
Okay, now, he's okay. If he doesn't scratch, this will be his fourth run. If he doesn't scratch this, this is going to be how he takes it back from Dave Curley.
Oh, wow.
Pressure's on. For
Pressure's
Lee
on.
Boyd. Oh, okay. I gotta take it down a notch for a minute. Well, we got Keith Lang coming in here. You were sitting in this very trailer in Flight Sim Expo in Vegas.
Yes, with Austin.
With Austin, a.k.a. Burstix. This trailer provided by USATrailersDirect.com, one of our sponsors. So I just want to say thanks. It's pretty comfortable in here, and you got to bring the trailer onto the show floor.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. We it was a good spectacle in the middle of that expo center.
There's Keith Lang now. Got to get it stopped. Rolling long for Keith Lang. Just rolling it out. I'm curious about that decision. I feel like he knew he gave up a lot on the landing, is what it looked like to me.
It didn't look like a scratch to me.
It didn't look like a scratch to me either. And so to have a 90-foot takeoff and not get heavy on the binders is surprising to me for Keith Lang. Here's Brian Steck holding it off. Watch him try to look over.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! So the camera mount drop in there as he gets it stopped. Talking to Brian Steck this morning, I don't know if you had this conversation with him too. He said, I was like, how's the plane working? It's brand new. You just finished building it. What do you think? He said the hardest part is the angle of attack is so great. I have zero visibility over the nose.
Wow.
And to make matters worse, that engine, that high horsepower, nitrous-powered engine, has that huge scoop. It's another 4 inches on top of the cowling there.
Yeah.
You can't see anything with how the angle of attack of that plane works. That's not totally uncommon. Here's Jared Garrettson with a little bit of a balloon, cutting it, dropping it. That's going to be a little longer for him, I think.
Maybe 150.
So hard for Brian Steck to see over the nose. It's not, again, if you fly like a J3 or like a classic tail dragger, it's going to be normal for you.
Yeah.
But it's just a difference for him compared to his last mother of all Cubs.
Yeah.
Race control in my ear is saying the pilots are all talking about how squirrely it is specifically at the line right now, the way the wind is going. Steve Henry.
Dropping it in.
Woo. That was super short as well.
Just a little over 100, maybe 110.
And I wonder,
106.
do you think it's our fault? Because look at the way the wind's going, and look at where we are in the broadcast trailer. I wonder if we're creating that burble for them. There's Lee Boyd, good over the line. Now he's got to get it stopped. Coming a little bit over the left side of the runway to use a little bit of that wind on the nose. That's Lee Boyd's last run. Did he unseat David Curley with that 70-foot takeoff? Waiting for the score to come in.
Suspense is killing me.
.177. That will put him back in first place with a combined score of 247 for Ed Lee Boyd. Woo, okay.
All
Things
right.
are getting sporty in the sport class. We have one more run in the adventure class. Keith Lang holding his own, third place. Not doing it compared to that last one. Little burble on the throttle, too, as he went around there. I really wish he had stopped on that. I want to know what happened. Why did Keith not stop on that third run with that 700-foot rollout with a 92-foot takeoff? That's okay. It makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck.
It's similar to a T6, would you say?
Oh, do you think that's what's happening?
Yeah, he said that his tips are going supersonic, and when they are going supersonic, he's at 2950 RPM.
That's a bit okay.
I believe he said 2950.
No, I believe you. I think you're right. Yeah, here we go. Jared Garrettson. Oh, he was off, and then he settled down a little bit. See, the judges are conferring. They're saying, where did he settle back down? Did he touch on that second little settling? I don't know if you saw where from your position where they were at.
I couldn't see it, but we'll measure from where he last lifted.
What? Okay. Just over 25 feet. Blowing the hats off some of the judges. There's Steve Henry. You can hear the nitrous kick in, right? It's like full throttle, and then it gives you a little more on top of it. That is something else. Lee is doing another run, I think, just for fun. This isn't going to count as one of his scores. He's already got first place in the books anyway for practice here today. Again, those are just backup scores, given the fact that we may have some weather roll in tomorrow. I mean, that was impressive.
I mean, that paint is impressive. It's just overall beautiful plane.
That's a 127-foot takeoff for him there. His best, again, was 70 feet. So that's people are doing bonkers things here in Pennsylvania. While we get ready for, look at, here's Steve Henry on the replay. What? I love the camera can't even, the camera operator's like, oh, it's gone. It just disappeared. Here's Keith Lang on short final.
Wonder what his vertical speed indicator is saying, if he's got one in there.
Okay. So Keith's takeoff that round, his longest so far with 167. But the landing was pretty solid. with 129. So his best landing and his worst takeoff combined for Keith there on the 4th run. Combined score of 296 that run. So his first one still his best. I got to ask him afterwards, what happened on that 3rd run? Why'd you roll it out? Look at the crosswind action.
Oh, yeah, look at the flag. Oh, okay. It was good from where I'm sitting. It almost looked like a scratch, but
no.
I don't know. That looks like a scratch.
You can call it a scratch. That's a little heartbreaking because that was a great landing for Brian Steck there. Still holding 2nd place. Here's Jared Garrettson in the Warhorse. Whoop. Giving that burst of throttle to try to keep it in the air, but I think we're going to see a blue flag from that one.
Yeah.
He's playing up high, right? I think he's trying to get above that sink that everyone was talking about, that squirreliness.
Yep.
And just lost the lift. Here we go in the replay. Yeah,
yep.
Scratch. You can see the dust just before the line there. Okay, well, that doesn't change anything, but kind of a bummer to end it on that note for Jared Garrettson. Here's Steve Henry.
Oh.
Okay, Steve.
Okay.
Not messing around there. Getting that tail down before the line. It's almost...
I think it launched him just a little bit over the line.
Just like pushed it a little more?
Yeah, just a little push.
What did that score come in as? Okay, by the way, 33-foot takeoff. That's stupid. That's a crazy number. Here's Lee Boyd now on short final. Good over the line for Lee Boyd on his practice run here. Getting it stopped around the, 200-foot mark maybe.
Yeah.
Waiting to see what Steve Henry did on that 4th run.
77. Okay.
I mean, that's going to give him the best combined score. That 4th run, it's going to give him a combined score of 110 feet and almost no wind. Just goes to show, like, what the Masters can do in any condition here. And everyone's taxiing back now. Everyone give them a round of applause as they taxi by. These are some of the strongest competitors in the adventure class.
Looks like we have Keith Lane coming in with 253 feet. Brian Steck at 185 feet. Jared Garrettson at 166 feet combined.
Woo!
These are some awesome numbers. And the king, Steve Henry, at 110 combined.
That is some extremely good flying for you here at Appalachian Mountain STOL. And while they taxi by, we got to thank a couple people who helped make this happen. Look at right there.
Look at Steve.
Steve's just goofing around with the tail right now, keeping his tail up. That is... They are having fun out there. It was a great showing here in practice. I didn't get to mention Red Tag Art, and I wanted to mention they're one of the season sponsors. They are really appreciative of their support. They actually make art out of red tagged aviation products, so that's something you can get. They make, I think we at one point in the booth had candles made out of taxi lights.
Yes.
Or bottle openers, or a table out of a turbine engine if you want. So that's Red Tag Art. We thank them for their support as well.
I love our friend Kelsey.
Absolutely, yeah. And let's talk a little bit about, I think in a minute we're going to talk about the local supporters that also bring this session open to you here in Appalachian STOL. We've got Jerry Clemens on the one wheel there. Look at that crowd. Great crowd here for practice in Pennsylvania. Want to give a big thanks to all of you that have come out to watch the practice session today here at National STOL. We couldn't do it without you. We really appreciate your support. And let's head out and let's just chat about the folks again that bring this to you at home and here in person. First, Ladd Gardner Aviation Insurance. Legend Aircraft. You saw the MOAC. USATrailersDirect.com. FlightHelmet.com. Sarasota Avionics and Maintenance. Aero LEDs. Lift Aviation. Red Tag Art. And iFly EFB. And locally, we have to thank Advanced Aeroworks and Avionics. Discover Clarion County. Kriebel Energy. Chronospan. Rustler Services. And our silver level sponsors, Frederick Drilling Company and Sons, Rod Stevenson, MD, Skycox Aviation, and Woodbed Corporation. Our bronze level sponsors, the American Legion Post 66, Caruso Aviation Services, St. Mary's, Dave Seifert, Lutz Resources, Microtel, Norm Wagner, Purvis Brothers Incorporated, RIA Engineers and Consulting, and Rotor Power LLC. And the Friends of the Airport, Delta Contractors and Design, Gatesman Auto Body, Freiburg Sportsman Club, J&J Feeds and Needs, Karen and Dana Gatesman, Nikki Wolverton, VFW Post 7131, FL Crooks and Company, and University Corner. So big thanks to everyone that helped make National STOL possible here in Pennsylvania. We are wrapping up what was a truly exciting competition here, practice session here. Hope you come by tomorrow. We obviously some rain in the forecast, and I just heard in my ear, I don't know, did you hear that as well? Someone said, don't go anywhere. We may have something special for you, but I have no idea what that is. It's a surprise to me as well.
A good surprise. Might have something to do with this yellow airplane, maybe?
It has nothing to do with the yellow airplane. I don't know. What is it? It could be anything. So we will be back in just a little bit, everybody, for whatever this special surprise is here at Clarion County Airport. Until then, I'm Ryan Dombrowski.
I'm Cam Walton.
And boom, National STOL 2024. Nailed it. That was insane. That was so fun. We'll see you later.
At Aerolids, we believe that innovation is equal parts inspiration and perspiration. Since our inception in 2006, we embarked on a mission to redefine the expectations of aerospace lighting. Entering the aerospace lighting market, which had remained largely unchanged for 50 years and in drastic need of a new product with fresh look and unequaled performance, Aerolids was inspired to redefine the expectations, which resulted in a series of innovative designs. Hungry for new ideas, backed by a company that valued the patronage, customers quickly adopted the new standard of quality, design, and performance never seen before in the industry. From you to you too, Aerolids is redefining the expectations.